So the following video is just something I threw together quickly. It's probably very long-winded. I just started out doing it to help a friend, chap that's new to Ecoflow, power stations and solar, etc. The video is so large I'm going to have to throw it up on YouTube. I don't know if I'll leave it there, but if other people find it useful and leave comments to leave it, it might stay. We'll see how bad it is. I did ramble a fair bit in it. I tried to cover a fair bit of stuff. It's just generally about solar panels and mounting, and of course my normal rave about how good bifacial panels are. Anyhow, enjoy. Oh yeah, almost forgot too. At the time of this video, we're getting near the end of Ecoflow Australia's Black Friday sales. So it's the perfect time to buy yourself an early Christmas gift. I'll put the normal discount codes in the video, EFKANGA6 at the end of checkout to get you 6% off most items. And yeah, grab yourself something nice early for Christmas, be it a Delta 2 Max, a River 2, a Wave air conditioner that heats and cools, very efficient too. What else have we got that's fun? Oh no, you can't have one of those, they're not in Australia. Shh, didn't see that. Alternator charger maybe, or the best one of all, the Delta Pro 3. Yeah, it's a nice unit. Anyhow, yeah, onto the video. Okay, I'll run through a few things. I just got to watch out for snakes down here. The heat's brought all the brown snakes out, unfortunately. I heard something in the garden before. So this is a stack of the 250 watt C-Sun panels that used to be up on the roof basically, but the inverter failed, and you know, stuff is just that cheap these days, and government subsidies and things, that it was cheaper to rip the whole lot out and start again. In fact, no company would just replace the inverter on the side of the house without redoing the whole lot. So, and even that was only a few $1,000s to redo the whole lot. Anyhow, I'm off track here again. So I'm reutilising these panels for my Ecoflow stuff, because I mean they're basically free. Even if I had to buy them, you'll quite often pick them up for free, or $10 or so each, depending on the age and the size of them. So these are your traditional panel, even though they're the older ones. As I said, they've only got about I can't remember if it's 3 or 4 bus bars down each group of cells to help with the shading. But as you go newer, we've already covered that anyhow, as you go newer and higher tech and split cells and all that sort of stuff, they add more to try to solve the problem more and more. Yeah, the diodes for the different bars, by the way, are in the back here, so if they ever go, they can be replaced generally on most decent panels. So this is the back of one of the panels, and you're asking about mounting. So the Renogy stuff, the mounting kits that I see on their website, they seem to all mount from these holes that are generally on the base of the frame. So that's a generic thing. I believe you're going to a tin roof, which what I have to do with these over on that shed eventually. So the different mounts, knew that had happened. Your different mounts, they're all mounting through those holes, so you can pretty much use whatever you want. That's obviously going to be your cheapest one at $20 for a set, and it's pretty straightforward. They'll just I brought some stuff down to run through with you. So they'll pretty much just use a roofing screw with a rubber seal so that you don't get any water through, and they'll go through those brackets, and then the bracket attaches to the base of the panel. Now if you start to get into grid style stuff, grid panels, and a fair few panels and things, you start to get into racking and what have you. I'm probably not using the right word here. Rails. So these rails, as you can see, they have slide points in them for the different attachments. So you basically attach one of them, and then that mounts down into your roof, and then this top slide in piece here, you use these. So these slide down. Probably can't do it one-handed while I'm watching the video, but and I may be trying to put it in the wrong spot too. It might be this way. Oh, the thread's through too far. Anyhow, they slide in, and then they clamp onto the side of your panels as you're stacking your panels side by side. You'd have two of them between each panel. So that's the other mounting method. That's more so if you end up using grid panels. When I say grid panels, grid connect panels. In other words, they're a higher voltage. They're designed to pump power back into your mains power out in the street to sort of save you money. Well, it goes to your house first, and what's left over goes out to the street. So we've covered that and that. Oh, and of course the rubber seal once again underneath that bracket to seal your roof. If you end up, I'm trying to keep this video short, but it's going to be long again, sorry. If you end up running panels in parallel to keep the voltage down within the limit of the input of the device, you'll need combiner adapters or connectors. So that's designed to parallel up two panels, and of course you can stack them. And there's one that'll do 3, and you can get 4, 5, etc. so on, or you can just stack the smaller ones. Those connectors, they're called MC4 connectors. So that's what's on most panels, your standard connector. There are some cases where you won't find that. And they basically just push in together and they're waterproof. To get them apart again, you can see those little clips which can be broken quite easily, especially if the panels are old like these ones. To get them apart again, you can get a proper tool, which you pretty much just push that into the connector to release those two pins. It's not really necessary. You can just use a couple little flat blade screwdrivers. I've actually seen solar installers that have dealt with these things so much, they physically just get their fingers in there and they press really hard and then release them one-handed. So, you know, I mean, but a lot of this stuff, by the way, is dirt cheap on places like AliExpress and eBay and all that sort of thing. I mean, that's only a couple of dollars. You know, you got to wait 2 weeks for it to come from China, but if you're buying bits and pieces. So I'll move everything over as I go so I don't double up. That's basically just some extension cables, once again cheap from China. You want at least 4mm when dealing with solar. The lower the voltage you're dealing with, the higher the current generally, so it means you need thicker wire. So the benefit is if you go to higher voltage panels and that, it becomes less of an issue, but we won't get into that in this video. That's a whole video by itself, learning all that stuff. They're blocking diodes. The panels do have blocking diodes for each bus bar down the panel. Internally, you'll get all your ratings on that sticker there, which I'll show you in a sec. But if you want to be a bit pedantic with it all, you can add blocking diodes. So I will, because I'm going to parallel up quite a few, I'll probably add one blocking diode between each panel. I'm going to actually run 3 of these per port. So even though the port's 500 watts, that'll give me, what's that, 750 watts if my math is correct. The benefits are it'll work better in low light, shading, that sort of thing. You're not going to hurt your controller. You can over panel or over watt, because current is drawn, it's not pushed. The thing will cap out at its maximum, which is about 15 amps per port. It will not draw any more. So what it means is earlier in the day, later in the day, when you've got less sun, you're still going to generate a lot more power. Now, as far as voltage goes, that's where you've got to watch what you're doing. The voltage limit on your Delta 2 Max is 60 volts from memory on the port. So you've got to make sure you don't go over that. And I might just quickly cover that. So if we look at the information here, hopefully that's readable. So you got, the main thing we're interested in here is your open circuit voltage, quite often referred to as VOC. So that says 37.3 volts. Now there are calculators online to work it out exactly, because it's to do with as temperature gets colder, those hang on, that might be better. As temperatures get colder, that VOC value can increase by a few volts. But just rule of thumb thing, if you add 5 volts to whatever that figure is, you know you're well within tolerance. You're not going to have any issues generally. So what else have we got there? Have to look around the phone. Where are we? Maximum current. So that's your maximum amps that it can provide, not push. So that's, up to whatever the thing wants to draw. Each panel, each of these particular panels, and there's your 250 watts, can give you up to 8.31 amps. Now that will vary depending on the voltage that the controller picks to match it in. That's to do with your MPPT. I think I'm getting into too much technical stuff here. This is going to be a long video. Oh damn, it's already over 10 minutes. So where are we? There's usually a fuse rating on there too somewhere. Tolerance, it's probably there somewhere. As I say, the video is getting too long. Anyhow, hang on a sec. Sorry, I'll try to get back on track again, not get into things too heavily. So we've covered the connectors. They're cheap as. If you do decide to get any second-hand cheap or free panels, I'd order some new connectors for them. You might end up having to change them. In fact, it's probably a good idea, because generally you've got dirt and corrosion and what have you in there. If they're not too bad, just use CO2 contact cleaner. That was a Repco one, but Super Cheap Auto also do one cheap, about $12. Spray the buggery out of the pin in the connector, really soak them. And I found you can even just buy really cheap the pins. So if you want to get really budget friendly, you can pull those connectors apart if they're not too brittle, because they're all weather sealed and everything. Pull them apart, they just screw apart, just with a shifter or whatever, or you can use that proper tool if you buy one. Oh, by the way, different brands and different things, the nut sizes are all different. That's why there's a few different tools and multi-headed tools and stuff, but a shifting spanner works. So you could just replace that pin, those pins, there's a male and a female one, or replace the whole thing. I mean, the connectors are cheap enough. If you go down the second-hand trail, if you decide to, it's looking like you probably don't want to. The other thing these are handy for is when you spray those connectors and fill them full of that contact cleaner, if you've got some of these, you can use them to push them in and run them in and out and just get all the grit and dirt and everything out of there, and then spray them again to flush them clean. So, you know, I think that whole packet was like only a couple of dollars or something. Very, very cheap. Where are we? More connectors. Fuses. Okay. So I showed you, I think I showed you that, yes I did, showed you the blocking diodes. I couldn't find a packet of these other ones. Maybe I didn't buy any, might have decided against it, but you can get the same sort of thing to put in line, and then you can put a replaceable fuse inside that housing. So it's, you know, with what you're doing, it's not going to be necessary because you're only running one panel. You're just running a cable straight to it. This is sort of more so if you decide to get more serious, because down the line most people realise they need a fair bit of solar to keep up with their use of how much battery they're draining. So we'll do this one first. And yes, that's the damn cat again. It's not, we don't have mice here. So that's a cheap eBay cable similar to what you've ordered. AliExpress cable. So it's got the plug on the end to go in the back of your solar port on your Delta 2 Max, and then you just got your MC4 connectors on the other side. Oh, this particular one, the reason I got a couple of these is it's a multi-ended one. It's got all sorts of plugs on the end to plug into all sorts of different devices, not just your Ecoflow. That's a cheap Chinese one again. I think that was only about $10 or so. That's just your MC4 solar connectors to your Ecoflow connector. It's a special one that has the middle pin to set it to solar mode. And then, oh, that was a waste of time. I didn't bring it down. I wanted to show you the high quality Ecoflow one that you've ordered. It's far nicer, but I thought it was in that box and it's not, so much for that. Now, if you want to get into running multiple panels and racking and all that sort of stuff, sooner or later you're going to, you know, if you're putting a fair bit of solar up, you're going to want to have safety disconnect switches and things. So a basic thing to do would be to put in your blocking diodes, and also your same sort of housing thing with fuses on your line, so that side of it's protected. But you can also get breakers. Now these are DC breakers, they're not AC breakers. Don't ever use AC breakers on solar because it's not safe. They're totally different, and an AC breaker can catch fire on solar when they flash over. So that's just a weatherproof housing. I think I paid $20 for like the whole lot of that China Direct. So that physically goes in there. It's DIN rail mounted like most of your AC, like most of your electrical stuff in your fuse boxes and what have you. So that just clips in there, and then you put it all back together. You screw it to the wall. You've got cable glands for your in and your out of your cabling, and that would do that side of it if you start to run quite a few panels. Now if you want to get really keen, this is the next step for me. This little box was about $100, which when you consider that's including shipping and postage and everything, I might have to, oh no, there we go. So there's all different shapes and sizes of these things. Now this one is configured to take 2 solar feed-ins with 2 outputs. So this will cover one of my Delta 2 Maxes for both solar ports. And what it will allow me to do is I'm going to combine 3 panels on each input. So that will give me 1500 watts of solar into 1000 watts of input. you know, your two 500 ports, so 750 in each one, and that should give me, you know, for all the trees and shading issues and all this sort of business that I got problems with here, that should give me a fairly good input throughout the day, even when I'm sort of getting bad times, weather, shading, etc. Now, the beauty of this thing, I wonder if I'm better off. Okay, the beauty of this thing is, here's your positive and negative fusing. So it actually has those fuses on your DIN rail here that you can just pop out, if I can get my hands on it, like so. So they're easily replaceable. These are lightning arresters, and once again, that's your disconnect switch. That one's also rated. I could have got a 15 amp one, or 16 amp one, sorry, to suit the Delta 2 Max, but I opted for 25 amps because my bigger unit will handle up to 20 amps on one of the ports, on the low voltage port. So, and keeping in mind, current is drawn, not pushed. So I'll put appropriate fuses in there for what it's plugged into, and then I've just overrated the breakers a little bit so that it can be used on other things. So that's complete one side, and then that's the same deal again for the other side. All pre-wired and everything inside from China. Cost me about 90 something dollars, I think, including postage. So you basically just screw it to the wall, plug your panels in. You do have to poke some wires through and do up some grub terminal screws into the breaker section. That's just for your wire to go back to your Delta 2 Max. And then on the other end, once again, you'd have that XT160 connector that just pushes straight in the back of the Delta 2 Max. Let me pause. This is now 20 minutes long. Now, I just had to walk up the other end of the yard. This is one of the brand new panels off the roof of the house at a last install we had done, and it's even a good quality brand and everything. Now, this panel is not a bifacial panel. Long story, I couldn't install what I wanted to. It was to do with family and power of attorney and looking after Dad and all the other terrible things that I went through. But so just move that. So this panel is not bifacial. It's just got your standard vinyl backing on the back, and in the factory, the most likely cause is in the corners. I don't know if you can see, hang on. In the corners, I'm not going to be able to get to it. It's all silicon sealed. There's like a white bead of silicon all the way around to seal it. Now in the factory, either the back of the vinyl paneling was bumped or marked, which is easily done, or it could be there was an internal short on the cells. There's a lot of different reasons, but anyhow, this panel caught fire, whether it was because water got in the corner or the back of the panel got damaged. A lot of different reasons, but all I'm getting at is bifacial panels are glass both sides, so they're much stronger, they're more resistant to manufacturing issues, you're less likely to have a problem. And you know, if something like that happened, you can see on the front, on the glass side, even though the glass is shattered from the heat, the glass has protected the house from being burnt down, basically. So I was very lucky. I caught the problem within the first day, and the fact that I've got a galvanised iron roof and most of the house is asbestos, yeah, I didn't have a problem. But you know, I'm a big advocate for these new bifacial panels. Double glass, they call them as well, or bifacial. Glass front, glass back. They're structurally better, they're safer, they provide more power, and the cost difference is minimal. Anyhow, I can't rave enough about bifacial panels. Hang on a sec. Okay, so that's about it. I'll come in here because I don't want to set the crazy neighbour off. But anyhow, so yeah, so there's the two sitting out in the grass that I've just thrown out in the grass. They were actually faulty panels too, by the way. They have shorts in them, shorts across them. They're that old and they've been damaged, but they're still outputting fairly good wattage considering. The reason I use those two up, the two damaged ones up, is I want to put the good ones up on the shed. So yeah, that cable through the grass just runs up and into the house. It was supposed to be a temporary thing, but I couldn't get any help to put the other panels on the roof yet, so yeah, it's dragged on. I had hoped to do it by Christmas, but I think a year before I get the other panels mounted and all the other bits and pieces done. So eventually they'll go up there on that shed, and then we'll run across into that room where the gear is. I'll just close this again and stay fairly quiet. Yeah, so anyhow, I'd be shopping around. I looked at quite a few sites today, and even eBay, and you know, you'll get grid connect panels within spec that you could possibly use for a few $100s, and I'm talking big ones like 440 watts and so on. But it's totally up to you how you want to start out. I hope this video has been helpful. It's far too long. It's just under 25 minutes now, so I'll cut it short and I'll have to throw it on YouTube for you. If you need anything else, yell out. Sorry, after all that, a quick addendum. I realised I did find that cable and bring it down. So that's like an official Ecoflow box. Everything that comes from Ecoflow is beautiful quality. Even the boxes that they're shipped in are just beautiful. It's a shame all the postage labels are over the top. But of course, anything bigger that you get in a bigger box won't be shipped that way. So there's a few things in here. They're just covers for the camp lights. That is, I believe that still comes standard with your Delta 2 Max. So that's your connector, so you can plug it into the car. XT160i. The I indicates that pin which configures it for either solar or car charging. And here is, I only got a short one. Don't laugh, I should choose my words more carefully. This is the high quality solar cable that Ecoflow provides when you order their gear. So I don't know if you can tell the difference or not, but the wire is much thicker. You can feel the insulation on it is much thicker and nicer. It's just quality. Everything Ecoflow is quality. So that's a proper official solar cable to suit Delta 2 Max and others. And then there's your MC4 connectors once again to go into the back of your panel. So I did have that. While I'm there, you also get one of those. It's just another 12 volt port on the back of the unit for plugging into smaller stuff. So that's definitely it now. I'll have to edit this up and throw it on YouTube temporarily because it's too big to just send. So hopefully you and whoever else manages to see it in the meantime will enjoy it, and it's been helpful. Good luck. Okay, so I thought I should just tack yet another last little bit on the end. I didn't cover grounding or safety, and I mean, all my videos are all DIY, proceed at your own risk. I'm not advising you to do anything, it's purely educational. But all your panels and your mounting rails, etc., need to be grounded, and a wire run down to a ground stake, obviously for safety reasons. Combiner box like this if you use one. It also has a grounding wire run through it through the appropriate things like your lightning surge protectors. That wire then goes down underneath, comes out and back to that terminal. So your grounding wire will go to into that terminal and then through its own separate independent gland back to your proper ground stake in the ground. Yeah, if you don't know what you're doing, stick to plug and play. Cables, panels, etc. There's plenty of stuff out there that's all just plug and play, no wiring required. You know, look, if you don't know what this thing is, for example, all it's probably good for is, you know, stick to your plug and play, and all this thing's probably good for is playing with the cat, maybe. But if you know what you're doing and you know, do it all safely, well, good luck to you. You can save a few dollars. Anyhow, that's about it. That's a hint, by the way. Good luck, have fun. May the force be with you.